It is Monday, October 6th.
This is The Warning.
And this is the home of South Carolina Judge Diane Goodstein. She ruled against Donald Trump with regard to the Department of Justice getting access to all of South Carolina's voting data. The right-wing extremist campaign against judges who rule against Donald Trump has been well documented. The violence associated with it has been well documented. And while the perpetrators of this act have not been caught, here at The Warning, we are not blind and we are not deaf and we are not dumb, and thus we do not believe in coincidences. This was not a random attack. It was a political attack. And the judge's husband and her son were seriously injured. When Stephen Miller was challenged about whether Donald Trump would condemn this act of violence, he had this to say. Read these words carefully and appreciate the meaning of them. He said, "There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorney generals. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks." According to Stephen Miller, anybody who dissents, anybody who objects to state violence, to the words that Stephen Miller used, because they are the words of a fascist, those people, according to the president's deputy chief of staff and the architect of the state violence, are now terrorists. And according to Stephen Miller, the terrorists include the Democratic National Committee and anybody, anywhere, who dares not to love Donald Trump. And so Stephen Miller is an architect of sorts. He is, on the one hand, a wrecking ball. And what he is breaking are the foundations of the greatest civilization that has ever existed in all the long record of humanity. He's crushing it. He's cracking it. He's stepping on it with the government jackboot. He's torching the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And there is a moment like January 6th that stands now forever as a before and after hinge. And that moment was, and history will likely prove this, Stephen Miller's orders. Armed men descended onto a Chicago rooftop from helicopters, armed with the same weapons carried by Navy SEALs in the raid to kill bin Laden. And in that apartment, they zip-tied the children, all of them. Every person was presumed guilty. Every person's door was kicked in. And there the people were taken, frozen, and sorted. One group of brown people versus one group of black people. When somebody asked, could they get blankets for the kids? The ICE agent said, "F those kids," end quote. Miller's men. And so, as Miller's men fast rode from helicopters, and the Texas National Guard is deployed to Illinois to wage war on Chicago, on American citizens, as we wait for the first sounds of automatic weapons fire to open from an ICE facility, weapons of war aimed at the American people, the American government soon, no doubt, ready to kill them for the crime of dissent on Stephen Miller's orders. While we wait, Donald Trump stokes more outrage. He stands yet again in front of a uniformed audience of the United States Navy. And there, he cheers on bin Laden.
In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me, you know?
And there, he describes the Democratic Party as insects, as gnats.
But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, you know, I have a bigger heart than they do.
There, Donald Trump makes partisan statement after partisan statement after partisan statement, castigating half the country, saying to the military, their enemy is the people who oppose Trump. Half the country, their fellow Americans. There, on the 250th anniversary of one of the great institutions in the history of the United States, our American Navy, Donald Trump says, are you ready? Are you ready to demolish what makes the country special? Are you ready to take away the freedoms that we all share on the word of a man who says the people that you're supposed to fight aren't foreign adversaries, but the dissenter who lives in a city? And all of our problems, well, they can be solved so long as we crack down on those who don't share the faith. And what might that faith be? Well, of course, faith in Trump. And what does faith in Trump bring? Faith in Trump brings this.
I said, what do you think about changing it to the Department of War? He said, I love it, sir. And that was about the end of it, right? That was the end of it. Thank you, Pete. Great job. He's a great leader.
And this.
I was president in 2016, and then they rigged the election on me. And then we caught him, didn't we? We caught him, but, you know, we had to run it again. I ran it again, and I got 250, and I got the World Cup, and I got the Olympics. Can you believe all of it?
And this.
Next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House, on the grounds of the White House.
The land of the free and the home of the brave. This is the country that's going to host the Olympics, the World Cup. What is happening in America is a fascist curtain is drawing down, and it's being pulled by Stephen Miller and by Pete Hegseth, and it involves the use of force by the state against the people, and soon the order by the fascists to the military to take up positions to fight their true enemy. Who might that be? Us. And that is what MAGA has brought. And that is what MAGA has wrought. They have brought us to the edge of civil war. This is The Warning.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.